You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. That race is getting very nasty. Kelly Loeffler is trying to attack Pastor Raphael Warnock. Now they have a new one. Their new one is Raphael Warnock is anti-Semitic. That's their new one. I'm gonna do this here though. We have these. So we've been playing these commercials, and so go ahead, folks, and fire the Raphael Warnock spot. And I'm gonna show you in terms of I'm gonna break down what he's trying to do and how he's trying to operate in this race. But go ahead and play it.
Raphael Warnock grew up in a house full of brothers and sisters. His parents taught him the value of hard work, like me.
Like me, he was first in his family to graduate from college and went on to earn a PhD.
He thinks insurance companies should not be allowed to discriminate against people with pre-existing conditions, like me.
Like me, Reverend Warnock knows that both parties in Washington could use some moral leadership.
I'm Raphael Warnock, and I approve this message because it's time we had a senator who put Georgians first, like me. 1982, a 12-year-old is accused of stealing and dragged out of store, told he looked suspicious because his hands are in his pockets. I'm Raphael Warnock, and that boy was me. Back then, I didn't understand how much the system works against those without power and money, that the rules were different for some of us. Too often, that's still true today, especially in Washington. I approve this message because it's time for that to change. When people have no vision, they revert to the vision. And that's what you're seeing from my opponent right now. While she's busy calling me names, let me tell you where I stand. I believe that in the greatest nation in the world, people should have affordable health care, that Georgians who work hard every day deserve a livable wage, and that seniors ought to be able to afford the cost of prescription drugs. Kelly Loeffler may think that's radical. I think it's common sense. I'm Raphael Warnock, and I approve this message.
Now I'm gonna play one more. All of them are not Mr. Nice as well. Here is another ad really hitting her on those transactions after that COVID briefing back early this year.
January 6th, billionaire Kelly Loeffler is sworn into office, and over the next 18 days doesn't make a single stock transaction. Then Loeffler receives a confidential briefing on the threat of coronavirus and immediately starts dumping stocks. As Kelly Loeffler downplays the threat publicly, she makes sale after sale, getting rid of $3.1 million before the market crashes. Kelly's for Kelly. Warnock is for us.
I'm Raphael Warnock, and I approve this message.
So what they're doing, they're trying to attack him on a speech that he gave dealing with the whole issue of Israel. They're trying to say that he's anti-Semitic by saying that Israel, how dare he stand up and defend Palestinians. He's making a point very clear. He said, look, nobody deserves to be shot and killed by anybody. He said, as a pastor, that's the case. Amisha, obviously, and you know, I guess she's thinking that by attacking Warnock as anti-Israel, I think people are making one mistake. People think that, oh, she's trying to lock up the Jewish vote. No. What they don't understand is 70+% of American Jews vote Democrat. What she's really going after are the white conservative evangelicals who have a different view on Israel.
You're exactly right. And that's the same thing that we saw with Donald Trump. A lot of his rhetoric towards Israel in terms of changing, trying to change the capital and talking about doing that was more so for evangelical Christians than it was for Israeli Americans. But I think that what is being done here in Georgia is very demonstrative of what we've seen at the national scale as well, where you see these alt-right groups and other groups that are out here loudly and proudly shouting their disdain for Jewish people. Meanwhile, Republicans aren't, shouting them down in any way or rebuking them, but they're trying to place this banner of hate on Democrats who are running for office. So I think that, this is an interesting process because we also saw in Georgia, remember a few months ago, that commercial that was actually against the other Senate candidate, the other Democratic Senate candidate, where the Republicans made his nose all of a sudden longer and bigger to,
I saw.
make people upset about him possibly being Jewish or to increase any idea of him being of a Jewish heritage. So they're playing both ends here. What we know about Raphael Warnock is that he is a pastor. He's a beloved pastor. He is someone who has done a great deal of work, groundwork in Georgia to, till the soil that we're seeing work in his favor right now. I don't think that people are going to buy into this. What I do know is that there's a lot of funding going into Georgia from both sides of the aisle. But when it comes to Republicans specifically, they know that this will be 50-50 and that Kamala Harris would be the deciding factor on a majority of policy avenues should two Democratic senators come through and win in Georgia. So I do think that they're trying to throw in every type of kook that they possibly can from now until Election Day to really turn out their base. And if they try this and see that it even gets a smidgen of attention from the conservative right, then they're definitely going to keep pushing it.
And look, I think that if they want to do that, Michael, look, what Warnock needs, what John Ossoff, who's running against Senator David Perdue, they need a fired up black base to turn out. So if you think attacking Jeremiah Wright is going to be your path to victory, do you?
What, Roland? I had that written right here. Jeremiah Wright. That was my next point. So they are trying to align Raphael Warnock, Pastor Raphael Warnock, with Jeremiah Wright, and then say Jeremiah Wright is anti-American because of the speech he gave years ago where he said "Goddamn America." Okay, so I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's going to work with a lot of African Americans. Now, some white people, they may be put off by just the relationship between the two. But I think that those commercials that you showed of Pastor Warnock, what the topics he's talking about, especially dealing with healthcare, that goes across the racial lines. And we know usually a lot of these Republican states that have Republican governors and Republican state legislatures, they're very poor states also, like Kentucky, where Moscow Mitch McConnell is. So, but you need a galvanized African-American base. The person leading that should be name escapes me right now, but you need a galvanized African-American base, okay? And this is not the time also to try to convert people who are Republicans, trying to convert them over to your platform either, or try to get them to vote for you. You got to really dig into the base and realize also that it's you trying to get people out in the wintertime, even though it's normally warmer in January in Georgia than it is in Detroit or than it is in Michigan. You got to realize, okay, this is 4 days after New Year's Day, that you got to galvanize people to come out as well if they don't do early voting. I'm not sure what the deadline is or how the early voting is working there in Georgia, but you got to really focus in and mobilize your base and get them back out. But lastly, I'll wrap up with this. We really have to focus on and explain this to the people in Georgia, why these two senators, John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, why they're so critical to Democrats having control of the Senate, so that all these bills and what's in Joe Biden's Build Back Better plan and his Lift Every Voice plan, his agenda for African Americans, so you can get those passed through the Senate. Otherwise, Mitch McConnell is going to be Senate Majority Leader, and a lot of those things are going to be blocked in the Senate.
Gary, again, I think first of all, weigh in on laying out here what you're seeing in Georgia. Bottom line is this here. Runoffs, there's a huge drop-off, okay? And and the Warnock folks, they're seeing what they're doing. Their deal is going to be, hey, you want to drive your black turnout as high as possible.
Every black vote, Roland, every black vote. They need to be focused on getting every black voter in the state of Georgia mobilized and voting. Shout out to the sister Stacey Abrams for all of the work that they did in round one. But it would be disappointing to the work and the labor that those organizations have done, that all of the grassroots organizers have done all over Georgia, if people don't come back out again. Because we talk about making change and creating these opportunities, but you got to take power to do it, right? And this is the opportunity opportunity to do that. The reason that the senator, the current senator, is doing the things that she's doing is because she has nothing else to run on. So, of course, you're going to try and create some type of division to get people to disparage Reverend Raphael Warnock. But the reality is we have to be critical of all people. You know, it is as if any time an American or any person of color says anything about anyone who is of Jewish descent, that we are now saying that those people are anti-Semitic. That is just simply not true. You can be both critical and supportive of someone. The reality of that is we are supporting Joe Biden as black folks because we want Joe Biden. We want Joe Biden to make change, and we want Donald Trump out of office. But we are also critical of his historic past and the work that he has done around the crime bill, right? We can both support you and criticize you and hold you accountable. And what the reality is the Republican Party doesn't want to give accountability to Israel for the transgressions against Palestinian people. And that should be confronted. And Raphael Warnock is absolutely right to speak in defense of all humanity and all human life, because that is what the good Bible teaches him to do.
All right, folks. Again, we are certainly going to be focused on that. Here are the critical dates in Georgia. You see it on the screen there. December 7th is the date for you to get registered. Go to iwillvote.com or vote.org to do so. Georgia voters, again, also, election day is January 5th, but early in-person voting will begin on December 14th. December 14th. And so we are focused as well on making sure that people are fully aware of what's going on. All right, folks, back to our Roland Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, this is the Ceek.com virtual reality headset. What happens is you just pop your phone right into here, and then when you close it up, you can actually look at the content on Ceek.com, their VR content, or you can look at other 360-degree video that puts you right into the room. So, like, literally, you could just be looking all over. And so, Mary Spio is the founder of the company. She's the innovator behind this, a black woman, sister from Ghana. And so that's their VR headset. They also have the 360-degree 4D headphones. A tremendous bass that covers all across your head. Great sound. Gamers love them. You can attach a headset to this as well. It's Bluetooth. Folks, if you want to get either one of these devices, go to Ceek.com, Ceek.com. That's Ceek.com, Ceek.com. Use the promo code RMVIP2020. RMVIP 2020, and check that out. And so we certainly appreciate them being partners with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered, where we, of course, support black-owned businesses like Ceek.com. And also go to their site. You can also subscribe to their monthly content that's right there on Ceek.com.